Hello, welcome back to From Soft Serve. Today we're back in Dark Souls 2 again. I know I've been making a lot of Dark Souls 2 videos, but I have been just super inspired to work on it. So I kind of just have run with that. And some of the updates are about DS2 Lighting Engine itself, which of course is not made by me, but it is what powers this mod, and without it, this mod just doesn't exist in the form that it does. And the recent updates to DS2 Lighting Engine are shadows got higher resolution. The overall shadow map, like available shadow map resolution, went up to 8K by 8K, which really just means that I can push out the shadow cascades for different distances, and they're more stable. And then what it means is inside the presets that I make for each atmosphere, right? You can actually go into the shadow settings here, and you can configure the sun shadows, the actual like softness of them. And so if we turn them all the way down, you can actually see the foliage here. You can actually see how it is filtering them. Because of course, if we left them at 1.0, the lowest setting, where basically it's just not doing much of any soft shadow work here. I think some people could prefer the look of this, right? That's sort of like where dynamic shadows were going, 15 whatever years ago. We've been on this journey of higher resolution shadows. But then they got too high resolution where they weren't realistic anymore. And so then that's where the soft shadowing comes in. And then obviously, if you have ray trace shadows, based upon the distance to the shadow casting entity or what is casting the shadow, then it becomes more out of focus as the distance goes on. Also, I'm still waking up, so I'm not going to say anything correctly. But now, of course, that's where DS2 Lighting Engine does have what's called PCSS, which I believe is NVIDIA's like shadow filtering algorithm type of thing, where it can essentially try to emulate ray traced shadows, and that it will try to make it essentially more blurry the farther that it is from the actual thing that is casting the shadow. So we've kind of gone backward, where we're trying to make them look more realistic by technically not being as sharp anymore. Well, not even technically, like we are actually trying to do that. And because with baked lighting, you would see that they've baked it, and that's how they could bake it out, is that it would have that normal filtering. And so I get to play with this on each atmosphere. And so I think I had it set a little too high before. But basically, there is a new version of my mod that is out now that you can download, and it features more updates to boss textures. I've been going through on my New Game Plus character, and you can actually grab the textures for bosses as you're playing the game, which is kind of difficult, but I make it work. I'll die, I die when I'm on a boss. But basically, you pull up the game map editor, and if you want to pull up a character's textures, you can actually just click on them, and you can commonly get their textures that way. Sometimes it won't highlight the character because the character's moving, and so it's not like a static mesh, which is understandable. But you can still find the albedo, specular, and all the different textures here. And then you can actually work on them and upscale them. So that's been a part of my mod I've wanted to do for a long time, but it actually includes like defeating bosses I've already defeated, right? Of course. So I just have to play the game again and again and again, which for me is great because I love playing this game so much. And then in Forest of the Fallen Giants, the reason why I started here in this video, oh my god, you guys are amazing, is I redid the grass here completely. And I've been doing that through most of the areas in the game where I added grass, like Shaded Woods, and, well, Majula as well. I've been redoing the grass to make it more natural. looking, essentially. I tried to undo some of the more sloppy grass placement. So overall, there is less foliage added, but I think it's a smarter inclusion of it. And let's get that. The other thing that changed in a recent update to DS2 Lighting Engine was the shading model, the diffuse shading model. And it honestly was noticeable really quickly. And what that is essentially how it was shading. Well, of course, I have to add that I am certainly no expert at rendering tech, and Rage Vitamins would always be able to describe this way better than I could. But essentially, it's very noticeable where the diffuse shading model and how it's handling the meshes. It just seems a little bit more natural now. I think it still looked good prior to this update, but now the way that it shades meshes actually seems a little bit closer to unmodded Dark Souls 2, at least in the way that, I don't know, it has an overall like sharper appearance slightly. It's hard to describe. It certainly, it looked great beforehand as well. But I think the new mesh shading just matches the original game better. I think it just looks insane, frankly. I think I am dropping frames here, which is probably just because I'm recording at the same time. Oh, okay, well, there's also that. Yeah, this is actually a good thing to show, is I am currently dropping frames. And that might be... Yeah, I have DLAA. I can try to swap to quality. Because, of course, we have DLAA, DLSS. Yeah, that helped. Okay, yeah. DLAA plus recording at the same time. Computer did not like that. So now we are back to a smooth 60 FPS. Ooh, I see a mesh hole there. Tanamira. You're killing me, big dog. Okay, let's check. Oh, wow, you guys both dropped something? Damn. Oh, hey, hey. Okay, bud. That's, I mean, we don't do that on grass. The grass didn't deserve that. Just so we're clear. But yeah, I have Forest of the Fallen Giants at a pretty good spot right now. I feel really good about it. Like the volumetric light shafts, the sharpening. One thing to know about my preset is under the camera lens setting, under user settings. So this is on your end. You can dial in the camera sensor, like how much blur do you want there to be for the depth of field? Because I like more blur than most people, but you can toggle this. So make sure to do this on your end, where I set the actual like distance at which the effect turns on through the atmosphere settings. But you guys have the ability to turn that down overall on your end, but I'm still in control of like how it looks, but I like more blur than most people. The other thing is to turn it to far only. Currently the near is still kind of weird, so we don't mess with that. We just have a far one, and it looks great. Hexagon, pentagon, or circle, realistically, you can switch between them, see which one looks the best to you. I never found it to be a massive difference, but everyone's going to be, I think, sensitive to that in a different way. But I generally was not. Okay, big dog. You almost had me on that one. I've been redoing the textures for enemies as well as I've been going through, and making sure they have, high resolution textures and new specular maps. Because a lot of the specular maps, understandably in this game, for things that did have specular maps, like enemies and bosses, they all had specular maps. But not all surfaces did. And commonly the specular map was half the resolution of the albedo texture, which makes perfect sense, because you can get away with it not being full resolution. It absolutely has a very similar effect, and the actual benefit you have from having your specular map be the same resolution as albedo is somewhat limited, right? Ooh, actually, this is a good opportunity to redo the grass here, because I haven't redone this grass yet. I'll show you how pretty easy it is now, because now I understand the grass placement system pretty well. And you get to it by hitting F. Let's get rid of the map editor for a second, and the level editor. And we're going to turn off these little circles. These are representative of point lights that are placed throughout this map. So we will turn off the game objects. We hit F to go into the foliage placement or object placement. You can place anything you want, but I tend to use it for grass. And so I have different brushes set up because it lets you save the brushes that you want to place. And I have Betwixt grass, Forest of the Fallen Giant grass, and then Huntsman's Copse grass that I use in different places. But basically I have this saved so I can sort of use this grass. And this is actually grass taken from other parts of the game, which is what I really like, that I'm still using all of the meshes from the game itself. I'm not making new meshes. Not that that is inherently wrong. I just think that it matches the game's aesthetic the best that it possibly can because they're still from the game, if that makes sense. And let's go to Forest of Fallen Giant grass. You can also hit the erase option. And this is going to erase the current grass I have because I placed this grass a long time ago and I am no longer happy with how it looks, although it didn't look bad, I don't think, but I do like to go back through and redo any existing work because, yeah, like you can see here, the grass ended up going over the side. Oh, yeah, so you'll see here where it's not removing the grass anymore. It's not removing all of it. I'll show you why that happens. That's because I was dumb. Now, this grass back here I think is pretty okay because I'm okay with it being thick. I don't know, because this was an area where there was nothing here. This was just a big empty area that you would see in the distance. And you're like, well, that looks strange. You know, although there is one thing I should do, which is this rubble. I could actually replicate this rubble and then add some here. We should probably do that on the video, right? That seems like a good idea. It's a little bit more complicated than what I was planning on doing, but I do think that would actually look good. Let's keep that stuff. For now, we'll keep what we have over there. And then let's go back to place. And I think I already have it set up for, you can alternate between, oh no, actually I don't. Okay, so let me delete that. So here's the scaling that you can do for, because what happens is you can randomize the orientation and the scaling. So Lighting Engine automatically is you can basically toggle between, like the minimum scaling is going to be 0.25, so 1/4 of the actual size of this grass mesh, and then you can set it to like the maximum being 0.6. You have to play around with this a lot because there are a lot of instances where it won't look very good if you have too many variations here with like the width and the depth. They can look very like cartoonish, so you have to be very specific with this. And then the vertical offset is sort of based on the world. It will place it and then put it down a little bit or up. And let's see. So that's pretty normal looking grass. Okay, let's see if we get some variations here. So you can see how you get smaller, taller, just little variations that make it just look a little bit more natural. You can see a little bit taller, a little bit shorter. It's not like a perfect system by any means. It's really limited by yourself. And so this is where in some instances you can place it to like, you can say 0.75 for a little bit taller top end. Because, of course, grass is going to grow, but it's not necessarily going to become... You have to be sure on your grass mesh not to have it go too wide, because then it just looks like a fucking, funhouse image looking thing. So grass is one of those things of, like, you just get better at placing it over time, and just make sure that you're not covering things too much. And with grass, I found that sometimes, it is going to sound funny for people who've played this mod, but less is more. But I did want to talk about, like, that's my method for modding. which is not everyone's method, right? But what I tend to do is I'll learn something new, and then I'll go overboard with it. And I'll place too much grass, right? Because I get excited and I love the new thing and I think it looks awesome. And then the longer that I get used to it, I go, oh, actually, that looks bad now. And I'll then go through and shave it down and remove this and sort of just keep improving it over time, right? And that method really works for me. It does, but it also leads to some initial sloppiness that I don't love, but that is admittedly just part of the process, right? Like, that is how I do it. And I actually think it works really well. It just, the initial result is, long term, it's not like, it's not what I love, but it is like a necessary part of the process, I think. Now, here's an interesting thing. Like this little thin strip, you can also, you can see I'm obviously looking at the ground texture here and the blend of how Dark Souls 2 has it set up, right? And I'm trying to match where the grass portion of the texture or blend is, right? Because you don't want to place grass on the stone here. So obviously the goal is to look, where is the texture communicating that there should be some grass coverage, right? And that's the whole ball game, is that you can basically look at these ground textures and understand where would they have put grass if they had no rendering limitations, right? Like that is what the devs were dealing with Dark Souls 2, because it was 360 and PS3. So I mean, you had to make it work, right? You had limited rendering time, so you had to fit everything within your 33.3 milliseconds. God, this guy always gets me. I never see you coming, big dog. So yeah, we just placed some grass there, which was cool. Ooh, actually, yeah, we can go back real quick. I've never done this like on video, but I think people will find it really cool. The thing is, I'm probably doing it incorrectly. That's the funny thing. I always use all the lighting engine tools incorrectly for a while until I get told to do them in a better way, and I go, oh, that is better. So this is probably like a really inaccurate way of doing it, but here's how I do it. So let's close out of this. Basically, we want to copy an in-game mesh using the textures, whatnot, and then replicate that with lighting engine to this empty space here, which just looks kind of barren, but we actually want to, this rubble here, we can replicate this rubble and then place it somewhere else. And why it works is that we're placing it here where no collision is necessary. The player never walks over here. So we can place these new meshes with Dark Souls 2 not having any idea what's happening. It's purely visual. And that's the same for, I was going to say that's the same for grass, but actually the grass has vertex shaders through Dark Souls 2 lighting engine that it moves when you walk through them. You can actually control how they move to the player. Or in response to the player. So you jerk ass. Fucking arrow through my head. Alright, so let's go here. Let's open our game map editor. And let's grab this. So you can see it's actually multiple meshes, which makes sense. It's basically this, and then there's a blend one as well. Unfortunately, it's also grabbing this. That's actually a bit of a problem, because when I copy this, I'm going to get this with it, which is just not ideal because I want to place it here, and then it's going to stick out here. So that's actually not going to work. I'm going to need to find other rubble that is not connected to essentially that little extra piece back here. That kind of sucks. Basically, I am limited in Dark Souls 2 that I cannot edit them in Blender currently. Blender Soulstruct has not been, as far as I know, has not been updated for Dark Souls 2. I hear that's a possibility at some point. Now Stade, they can edit stuff in Blender because they actually developed their own Blender like importer for Dark Souls 2 models, which is so cool and awesome. That's rad. I can't wait till I can edit. these meshes, because there's a lot of issues with these meshes that I need to fix that I can't necessarily fix just by Dark Souls 2 lighting engine, like, understandably. So we're gonna skip that rubble. Screw that rubble. We don't care about that rubble anymore. Let's go back to Majula for a second, because I have updated the grass here a little bit. And you can see it with the new shading model, the new dynamic shadows, both of which are just Dark Souls 2 lighting engine enhancements. They have nothing to do with me, other than I alter my preset to work with them, correctly. But that's definitely Dark Souls 2 lighting engine stuff. I did touch, Chloanne's textures. Even the thing that she's holding now has a higher resolution texture. Obviously, the Emerald Herald has had her textures touched, but that was like 4 versions ago. But yeah, obviously super happy with where Majula's at. I think it looks amazing. I'm not done tinkering, obviously, but actually, there is a good thing we can do here. Since we couldn't do the rubble, we can actually, these little like wheat looking things, like, do we know what these are? Do we know what these are called? Basically, this is a different set of foliage than the grass, but you can see how they were already placed through here. But there's some places where I'd like a little bit more of these, like over here. So we can actually grab them here, and then I can show you how to duplicate those. Let's hit highlight section. Okay, this is actually something I'm already blocking. I do have some of the foliage blocked that was original foliage, because I don't think it melded well with my new foliage. But let's try to grab the foliage here. It can be a little difficult with some of this moving foliage. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so here we have the thing that I would like to steal. And basically we have a model builder right here when you select it. And you're going to hit add draw call to build, because this is the draw call we want to replicate, which is quite literally just this little tiny bit of foliage. And it actually tells you grass, draw, and then the indices. I say that wrong. Indices? Triangle list. That's how many, triangles, whatnot. Cool stuff. So, and then we hit, it will ask you the import type. And we actually don't need normal mapping support for this, because it's just foliage. It doesn't have a normal map, as far as I know. I don't think it does. I think it's just an albedo. Yeah, there's no reason why it should have a normal map, honestly. And we hit foliage, and then create model from selected, and it's going to ask, what would you like to call it? Majula wheat model. It looks like wheat. I don't know. It's some weed. I don't know. I'll just call it Majula wheat model. It looks like a stalk of wheat or something, Majula wheat model. So let's hit that. So then it brings up the model editor. So now we have a model within DS2 lighting engine that is named Majula wheat model, but we have nothing beyond that. And I think if we actually place it, so I'll show you, we now have this model. And if we go to view assets up here, this is where we'll have our new stuff. And you can sort here by materials, textures, and models, which you may be wondering, what is up with that? Well, you first make textures, and then you use those textures to make a material. And then that material gets applied to a model. And then you have a full model. So those are the steps. So first, let's look at the model I made. And so you filter by only models, and let's see if we can find the Majula wheat model. Here you go. So basically you click on that, and then if you want to place it, and anytime you can minimize these using the arrows, and then you'll see a button that pops up here that says create Majula wheat model. So we know it's of course the one I have selected, and it's based on what's selected over here. You can actually see it changes the blue button here. And then let's go grab that, and then create Majula wheat model, which we'll see. I believe that just placed it too low because I haven't centered the mesh yet. Maybe. Okay, maybe not. Let's delete it real quick. Let's center model. That's usually part of it, is you have to center it. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Ah. So this is what it looks like right now, because it doesn't have anything. It doesn't have textures. It doesn't have gosh darn anything. So it looks really janky. So let's delete that and finish the model. Also, there's my little guy hanging out. So let's go grab that again, just this, and we will now see that it uses this albedo texture here. So we're going to pull up our text override folder, which is inside of our Dark Souls 2 game folder. This is where all the textures are stored for DS2 lighting engine, for any of the texture overriding that it does. So what we're going to do is search for the actual texture we want, and then inside of our DS2 game folder we have DS2 LE atmosphere presets, and inside of this folder we have textures. Now this is where the special textures are stored, just for lighting engine objects that we're making and placing throughout the world outside of what DS2 understands. So grass is included here, and then there's a bunch of meshes I've been making textures for and placing throughout the world to flesh out the world, right? Like a lot of rocks and trees, those are all handled through here, instead of placing them in like DS Map Studio or one of those programs. So anyway, let's copy this grass mesh or grass texture, and we're going to place it here and rename it immediately to Majula wheat texture. So we're just going to call it that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. We just called it that. And now we go back to our assets, which you'll see is actually hidden back here, as they can overlap between each other. And we now hit create texture. And we'll ask you, do you want to name it? Well, you have to name it. Wheat texture. So I just call it what I called it. And then you'll have a texture editor that pops up. Wheat texture.tds. You basically type in the name of the texture that you made in that folder, and if you've done it correctly, this will turn blue because it has detected that this is the name of the texture. If that doesn't happen, it's probably because you misspelled here what the texture is, or you forgot, which is what happens to me. So I tend to look and go, oh, okay, so let me type in .dds. That's the actual thing I named it, and you hit set texture, and it will pick up on the size and the bitmap count and all that, and you go, ah, cool. Well, really, the texture format is actually BC1 UNorm. That's interesting. I guess I haven't upscaled that. Foliage textures don't upscale well. They're small enough and they're on such a small surface area that it just doesn't, it ends up making them look worse. So yeah, you hit save package, because now we have our texture. And now we hit create material. And so then we do Majula wheat. Now you can name this whatever you want, but this is my system of Majula wheat. I try to name them the same thing. And then instead of Majula wheat texture, it's Majula wheat material. Because these are things that you might need to be editing later. And then here's our wheat material. And we still have our model editor open, which is the ultimate thing later. So I kind of keep that up here. Okay, and so with our material editor here, what we need to now do is plug in that albedo texture. Because you can see here we have like the little arrows, and it can handle up to like a blend surface of 2 albedos, 2 speculars, 2 normals. Here we're doing a very simple, just 1 albedo that you hit here. So we're actually going to filter by textures, and then all we have to do is find the Majula wheat texture that is in here, which I believe you can actually just search. I've always been really bad at that, where I don't search, I just scroll through the list like an idiot. But basically, yeah, so you select your texture that we've made just recently, and you plug it into the albedo. You can see that it obviously highlights the blue here, telling you that it can plug it in. And it says set model to albedo map, so there we go. Save package. We're not done yet. as by default it is not set to foliage. Now there's low foliage grass, and then this is foliage, so I'm not entirely sure of exactly the difference between those. But let's try foliage, and then it is alpha test because it is an alpha related thing, right? It is transparent to around the texture, right? And there we go. And then we will mess with this later, where you can actually control how fast it sways in the wind, and then how it affects the player as well. I figured that out by kind of just playing around with these wind animation values down here, which are by default not. So let's see. So now that we've saved our material editor, we need to pop back up in the model. And then, see, this is what I'm saying. I'm probably just doing this in a horribly incorrect way. I don't find it to be that bad. Like this, I can just kind of go through this process, but I can see how someone would be like, man, that's a lot of steps. It's like, yeah, it's not that bad. So here we have our material selected under materials. And as you can see on the model editor, we need to plug in that material right here. And there you go. So now we've plugged that in, save package, fantastic. And you can see different things like recalculate lighting, which we probably need to do because that's on a lot of the models. You have to do that to, and then it looks more correct within the scene. So let's do this again where we go back to models, Majula wheat model, and then we hit create because I haven't applied it to a brush yet. I'm not to that step. And then I think we actually have it looking, correct. As far as like the actual fronds or whatever. Yeah, so we have actually made it, and you can see it's casting shadows as well. It's very nice, but you can see they're not moving. So it does not have the vertex shader active, which is something that you can see the default ones in the game do have. So we can basically try to replicate that. And you can see the wind animation. Let's see if we get that up a bit. Oh yeah, that's where it goes crazy. Alright, yeah, you kind of have to play around with it to get to a value that doesn't look like shit. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. We got it. Yeah, this might be... Oh, subsurface scattering. Look at that. Without the default settings, it can be hard to figure out. Because this is one where you don't actually want the whole thing vibrating. This is where you want more of a sway with just the top. I'll admit, I haven't really messed with that much. Oh, here you go. Well, that's kind of just up and down, right? Okay. You kind of start to understand what it's doing a little bit. Okay, so this is like horizontal movement. This is vertical movement. And then I think, no, we don't want that. Maybe low on that? No, not exactly. Okay, I won't spend too much time on this. This I just have to play around with, to where I can get it into an animation that I like. But basically, I just have to play around with that, and it's fun to mess with though. You can really dial it in. Yeah, so that's kind of like the yeah, that's the vertical. All right, yeah, I'll play with that more later. So basically, yeah, that's how you can replicate an object in Dark Souls 2 Light Engine, and then place it around yourself. And it's really cash money as hell. It's allowed me to, I don't know if I talked about this on a video, but in No Man's Wharf, I started replacing the distant Lost Bastille that you can see from here. That is in the distance, like outside of the cave hole or cave exit or whatever that's over here. There's actually a Lost Bastille that you can see. Also, no, I showed this in the last video as far as like how this looked, right? 'Cause I think No Man's Wharf looks fucking awesome right now. One shot, you love to see it. Oh, oh. Alright, guys. Alright, hey. Be cool. Oh my god, these guys go absolutely ham. Just look at the shadow casting, though. I could have parried you, just know that. I chose not to. I chose to block. Of course, all of these are shadow casting, and it automatically culls the other ones. Yeah, so I placed that Lost Bastille. Oh, no, I did do it correctly. Okay. So if we go snap to game camera, and we actually fly out here, these are meshes that I placed. You can actually see here. Ah, crap. Okay, well, I didn't know that the whole San Francisco 49ers were joining the fucking game here. I don't have my HUD on, so it's a little harder when you don't know. I don't know their health. I don't know my health. I don't know anything. Oh, come on! I literally ran into it. That's insane. We know that's not possible. Got it. We're cooking here. I just didn't know the whole 49ers were. Okay, well, I think that was... You could have given me that. TBH. I'm so bad at parrying these guys. They have such a quick lead up. Oh my god. Okay, I'm just gonna kill you. I'm still waking up. I can't parry yet. Don't worry about it. I'll just use 5,000 heals. Anyway, so yeah, you can see that I can actually... I even imported the really tall structures. Really? Really, arrow guy? That's crazy work. You're also standing on a barrel. I hope you know that. Okay, am I done being absolutely attacked? So I have 2 of them out there, but I could add more. But essentially, you know, you want it to be like a facsimile of Lost Bastille, because that's what it's meant to be. But the original one was just really blank and didn't look great, to be honest. So it's stuff like that that slowly building out the world a little bit more, you know. So that's basically No Man's Wharf, which let's kill ourselves. Oh man, I thought that was gonna... Oh, I didn't even know you could go under them. I actually didn't know you could go under those floorboards. That's a speedrun strat. That's a speedrun strat. It's kind of just... This video kind of just became a lot of different things, right? That's kind of how I work on them, though. Now, here's a little bit of a preview of Drangleic Castle. That is not 100% the version that you can download exactly right now that I posted last night. But it will be soon, because I update the mod every, like, 2-3 days, give or take. But I did this last night with Oh, that's Aldia. Oh, God. What the hell did I do to the grass here? Oh, good God. Well, alright, yeah. I didn't remember that grass being that terrible. Jesus Christ. Yeah, let's delete that. Oh my good God, that looked terrible. Alright. Well, note to self. I'm removing that grass. God damn. I feel like it didn't always look that bad. I don't... Or maybe it did. Jesus Christ. Yeah, I'm gonna remove all of that. I think something happened to that. grass mesh, because I feel like I wouldn't have kept that there, but damn, all right, yeah, I'm just gonna delete. Yeah, we're just gonna delete all of that. I'll just redo that today. That's no big deal. I'm not happy with that grass. I am not happy with that grass. Yeah, that grass is gone. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's get rid of that. And then what the hell is this mesh? This might be an original one. Yeah, this is what usually happens. So let's open this up. Map editor, yes. So this is an existing mesh. This is the one I should copy. Yeah, okay, hold on. Let me just make this. That sounds better. Yeah, you can see now this has a very specific vertex shader that like it alternates between slow and fast. And I don't have as much that control. That's a bit different. That's a bit. My cats were fighting there for a second. I'll come back to that. I already showed how to do that. Let's go towards Drangleic Castle. I will come back to that and replace that grass. Okay, guys. Ooh. Okay, maybe I'll turn on just so I don't die on the way. So I'm still gonna go through here and double check the grass a little bit later. I have edited the grass here, but there's still some I'm not super happy with. Got a decent variety, but there's still some issues that I'm not terribly happy with. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, like this grass on the side here, not okay, Mr. Black Knight. Not Black Knight, Black Leather Armor. Oh, found his leash. Kind of. Boom! Get deleted, son. Give me your life gem. Thank you. Yeah. Some of the grass here, we definitely don't need to keep. That is ideal. So let's hit that. Basically, you can kind of just select it. You can do the mass delete option, but there are certain times I just want to do just some nice little, just some little pruning, you know, on some of these. These tend to be the thicker grass meshes that I was using originally. And they certainly, I accidentally doubled up on some of the grass. And, you know, I kind of have to go through and just kind of make them look a little bit nicer and more natural. Part of their job is to cover up the low quality of some of these meshes, because unfortunately I can't turn on the Bezier curve tessellation for all of them, unfortunately, because it just cannot, with the way these meshes are set up, which you can see, like, this is like that one little patch, then there's this little patch that's really strange, and then this little patch. And the problem is, if you turn on tessellation for all of them, there simply will be mesh holes, and it sucks. So it's one of those where once I can edit them in Blender, I can smooth out all of those. I can fix all of that, essentially. But until then, oh, did he get damage just standing there? I swear I saw a damage number on his head, and I was like, I didn't hit the guy yet. Oh, you're crafty. Two-handing your dagger? Crazy move. And also get deleted, sir. Please get deleted. Alright, so we got our volumetric light shaft set up. We can see Drangleic Castle in the distance. Drangleic Castle's been like the toughest area to work on. It's one of those where it already looks amazing in the unmodded game, in my opinion at least, but I think it's one of the best looking areas. The transition's not great. It's unfortunately very different from Shaded Woods, so perhaps I can make that more seamless at some point, but realistically, like, it's one of those where it's technically a big shift anyway, where it turns to be, you know, raining. Now I am getting huge frame drops when I look specifically this way, and only when I specifically look this way. I'm assuming that it might be a grass related thing. It's still rendering that grass. I don't know. But here's Drangleic Castle. Pretty okay with it. Feeling, you know, surface quality's good. You know, oh god, okay. I was gonna walk past you guys. Dynamic shadows are looking good. I got the screen space light shafts in this case because the volumetrics are harder to get right in Drangleic Castle. This map is just brutal for that. And then the transition here, I don't think is. Yeah, this is one where Drangleic Castle is tough because it has two separate like atmospheres, and it actually switches between them on a timer for the Looking Glass Night fight. And that's kind of the basis for they wanted to try to replicate lightning, and so they alternate between these two atmospheres, which is fine. Lighting engine does struggle a little bit, admittedly, for trying to switch between them, and then there's an area where it just drops the atmosphere, and so lighting engine basically goes, well, we're going to use the last one that we know of, which is normal, but it is very hard to make it work, at least in my experience. I've had a tough time with Drangleic Castle, but right now I think the interior, the surface quality looks good, the shadow casting on everything, you know, small updates, but that's kind of what this mod is. It's just slowly refining my earlier work. Let's go to Undead Crypt for a second, because that looks pretty sweet as well. I did a little touch up on that in my last update. Let's see. Yeah, there you go. Got a little light from the sky there, a little bit of volumetrics in here, shadow casting on both of those, plus the bonfire. Upscaled specular map for the floor. Then of course tweaking like the diffuse values. Oh yeah, I did do the cyan armor. Or cyan's armor. Ooh! You guys hoover so well. It's insane. Oh, come on. I think I need their helm. I believe that's the only thing that hasn't dropped for this character. But realistically, I have that helm on a different character. I could just go upscale and finish the texture work on a different character, even if I don't have the... But I like to take pictures of it, right? Yeah, I love the lightning attack. It's so sick. and it's from when they you hit them and they guard it. It's so cool. It's like it's something that there's actually a decent number of people who don't see that. But you can see the surface quality here is really good. Roughness maps, everything having some sort of specular response. But it alternates based on the surface itself, right? I definitely don't want everything to have exactly the same. I need this guy's Imperious armor. I don't think I have a character that has all of it. I used to, but then I lost that save, like, ages ago. I love these door guys. It's so cool. That's such a cool idea for a character. He has alternates. This bitch has alternates. Oh, please drop your shit. God damn it. Also, this guy is Carl. He doesn't attack you. So next time you're in the crypt, don't attack him. Because honestly, I think Undead Crypt actually already looked pretty good in the unmodded game. My job is just to make the textures look better, material response, shadow casting, just enhance how it already looked. I did redo his textures, the MILF Lord of the MILFs over here. I did touch his textures, because he looks pretty good. I gave him a little bit more specular on his chainmail here, just a tad, but you can't really tell that much, so it actually matches well with the original. I think Undead Crypt is such a vibe. I love this area. I love most all of the Dark Souls 2 areas, to be honest. Like, I do so much work on this mod, and I love being in these areas. That's the biggest reason why Dark Souls 2 is my favorite in the trilogy, is that I just absolutely adore working on it. Nice. Yeah, I didn't drop down here. That's right. This is one that I usually forget about. Ow. 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 Oh, be cool. Good thing is they generally get confused. Drop your shit. Okay. Big dog. Okay, let's open this chest. I actually don't remember what's in here. And I assume there will be people who watch this going, damn, I gotta go check down there. Oh, there's a ladder too. Check for hidden walls. I don't remember. Ooh, actually, here's a good opportunity. Let's snap the game camera. Let's pull up our game map object. Let's go to Lights Editor. That's what I thought. Okay. So basically, this is an instance where it has some light coming off of it, but not a lot, not enough. It's a little bit too little. So if we actually create a point light, we can make our own little point light here. And because it's a WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. You can actually just play around with it as you are playing the game. So you kind of want a little bit of a, kind of match the vibe, match the color. Casting shadows? Sure, why not? I don't have another shadow casting light right near here. So I got some shadow budget to spend, you know? Now, as for the range, it's obviously candles, so you don't want it to be too high of a range. And then the intensity, so that's the intensity by default where there's no light, right? And then a point light just gives it that extra little, gives it that little oomph. Just gives a little look to it. Should it be shadow casting? Absolutely not. Now that I think about it, it's a small enough light that there's no reason for it to be shadow casting because it's not going to make a huge difference. And we will save on performance there. But yeah, now it just lights up a little bit more. And that'll be saved on the map. Hit save level, and now they'll just load that point light. And there's nothing you have to do about it. Let's go back up the ladder. And this should just lead us back up to the normal elevation of this area. Ooh, Soul of a Hero. Fuck yeah. Ooh. Oh, oh, this goes back to the bonfire room. That's right. That's why you have the broken ladder here. That's so cool. I forgot about that. And then it leads you to this interior bonfire. Oh, that's so cool. It's been a while since I've done that little loop. I redid the rock textures here, and the roughness map on them, because they actually were super low resolution even after I already upscaled them once. This is one of those rare cases where you actually upscale them twice. You have to be very careful about doing that, because you can make it look like dog shit very quickly. But I've been able to use my different models pretty well. Yeah. Call your people. Call your peeps. I am not afraid of a couple peeps. So here's the... I love our little wall ghost people. I'm glad they came back in Sekiro. But as far as I know, that's it. They didn't come back for anything else. But let's keep traveling here. I actually placed a point light for every single one of these skull things. This took a while. Let's see if I got a light editor. Oh, I turned off the visualize or game object. Look at all these point lights. I manually placed every single one of these. And then I placed these middle ones to like simulate light bounce a little bit. It was a lot. Luckily, Lighting Engine makes it pretty easy. Okay, I want your guys' Imperious armor. Again, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be a bomb thrower. One's undead. Well, ooh, causes bleeding. Fuck yeah. Okay, you know what? I've had enough of your shit. God fucking damn. Fucking wall, guys? Fucking... Oh, I forgot I'm pretty sure you guys are... Okay, you can't fit through here. That's tough. That's tough. I was pretty sure you guys couldn't fit through here. Damn, okay. I was pretty sure you guys were gonna stop. Damn. I mean, luckily you're like slow as fuck, so... Okay, well if I get stuck in the doorway, that doesn't count. Could I kill them normally? Absolutely. This is more fun though. Do you bleed? Apparently you don't bleed. It just takes a long time for you guys to bleed. That's crazy. I mean, it would make sense because you're armed to the absolute teeth, right? God damn it. Oh god, okay. Don't fall in the hole. Don't fall in the hole. Don't fall in the hole. They're lost. They're lost now at the door. Ooh, oh, ow, ow. Okay, I'll shut the fuck up. Okay, do your shit. Narrow doorway technique. It never fails. We love to see it. Yeah, they just can't. They can't deal. They go, damn, dog, he got us. Ooh, fuck, I'll shut the fuck up. Never mind, shut the fuck up. Get the... Oh, Imperious Leggings. Let's go. What do I got of theirs? I realize I'm now just playing the game again. That's just what always happens with these videos. I just go, oh, I just like playing the game. Imperious. Do I have Imperious? I don't think so. Imperious, those ones are harder to get. I had to farm for them for quite a while. Oh, I already had the Imperious Leggings. Oh, that's tough. If I have any coins, I should spend it on better drop rate. Because their armor absolutely bugs. Okay, but you can be back here. That's fine. Oh, I stopped him right before he rang the bell. That's how he gets you. Shadow casting light. Oh, okay, a skeleton still hit something. Oh, these guys are so cool. Dude, look at the, like, one frame. Okay, 2 seconds, I'm dead. Jesus Christ. Okay. Let's go back to Majula, and I'll just end the video there. Because it's been like an hour, so. So I'm going to edit the video down a little bit, get rid of some of this. I'll keep most of it. Because I got to make sure, I got to make up for not yapping in the last video. Also, we are very close to 30,000 subscribers. So, big ups. I don't know what that means for anything, but big number be good. So thank you for that. You know, I think we're like, what do you call it, like 200 off. But anyway, thank you for watching. Go download the mod if you want. If you want a sick ass looking Dark Souls 2. Of course, mine is not the only Dark Souls 2 lighting engine mod. There are cool ones. There's like the Faram preset. There's the PTSD. There's some cool stuff out there. Of course, I am biased, and I can only speak for my mod, really, as far as, like, you know, how it looks. You know? I'm not perfectly happy with everything in my mod, and that's why I will keep working on it. I need to go back to Dark Souls 1 very shortly. Gotta fix Duke's Archives. That's something I need to do ASAP. But I also need to test something out in Dark Souls 2 that I'm going to test out after stopping this. That I can fix. No shot. I have been attacked by pigs. I have the worst swinging weapon for this. Well, not the worst, but it's close. Ooh. Ow. God. Vicious pigs. Vicious pigs. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'm probably also going to farm the Imperious setting, or set. Because I want to upscale all of it. I haven't touched that yet. Of course, the Faram set is done. But the Imperious set looks so sick. Alright, well, I'm going to end the video here in Majula after getting attacked by these pigs. But if you want to download the mod, you can go to Nexus Mods. There's a link below, actually, for the Scholar of the Second Sin mod. Or on my Patreon, that's where you can get a Google Drive link. And you get the ad-free version of this video. But if you are a YouTube channel member, you also get those benefits. There'll be a community tab post that has the Google Drive links. I've been bad about that, but I'm going to do that right after I finish recording this. And then you also get the ad-free videos that get posted on the community tab, but they're only viewable for the Bearer of the Curse level of support, which is the $5, which is just the same as Patreon. So you do get the same benefits, and you can support through YouTube without having to make another account, just as a convenience factor. So always appreciate any support that I receive, and it is the only reason I've been able to work on the mods like I have. So I appreciate y'all, and I will see you on the next video.